Hey folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Probably I should give you a warning that there's very likely a rant incoming on this video. Just some things that's kind of fired up about, and it has been for a long time. But I have to admit that this video and this content that I'm thinking of isn't just from me. I was inspired by another YouTuber, and I want to give him a shout out. Because he's a friend and he puts out amazing content. And I know that many of you watch him, and that's Zach Bauer over at an American Homestead. He did a video a couple of days ago saying a lot of the same things that I'm saying and thinking, and it inspired me. So I don't want to take anything away from him or steal his thunder. This is just kind of an addition to what he did. So I encourage you to go check out his video on Will the Real Homesteaders Please Stand Up? Basically what he was talking about, what I plan on talking about here, and what I have said for a very long time, is that they're in the homesteader world. There's this concept that it's all about, oh, how wonderful and lovely it is to frolic in the wildflowers in the field and to have the cutesy little chickens and, you know, just live as in one with nature, but yet still have, you know, both feet still planted pretty much in the world, because we don't want to talk about anything that's a little too scary. Anything that's, you know, kind of crosses that line of too much guns, too much, you know, real self-sufficiency, too much of that, you know, the world is collapsing and homesteading isn't just a hobby or a passion or something that's fun to do. It's the only way for you to survive. We don't want to go that direction. And that's really what he talked about in that video, and I share that sentiment very much so. I have seen it and felt it all throughout doing the videos that I do on this channel, and even before. I used to have a blog, and of course it's long since gone, but before the days really of YouTube. And I wrote an article talking about how homesteading is much more than frolicking through the field of wildflowers. You see all these little, what I call Pinterest homesteaders, you know, and they're all in their nice white or their pastel clothing, and they're laying in this field of wheat or wildflowers, and they're holding their beautiful chickens with their very ultra clean, you know, chicken coop behind them, or they just want to focus on their neatly tended gardens because that's what makes them feel good. It's this feel good of you know, getting a little bit out there into nature and a little bit self-sufficient, but we don't want to take this too far. And I'm telling you, the time is coming that the real homesteaders are going to have to rise up, or you're just going to fall along the wayside with the rest of them. Because homesteading is much more than just it's wonderful experience. Homesteading is a way that you can survive the worst of times. I understand that this is offensive to some people. Oh, I'm just stepping on people's toes. And you know what? I don't really care. I don't care. Because too many people have been dabbling in, well, I'm a little bit self-sufficient, I'm a little bit prepared. And I'm telling you folks, the way things are happening in this world, if you haven't awakened just in the last few days, in the last few weeks, the things that are happening all around us, if you haven't awakened to that, I don't know what to tell you. But the little dabbling here and there into homesteading and into preparedness isn't going to cut it, folks. It's time to stand up, and it's time to take it serious. And it's more than growing your tomatoes and your little cute chickens and the adorably manicured and groomed sheep that you have and all that kind of stuff. That's great. That's great. And I've made videos on just about all those subjects. And we do them. We raise, you know, we grow our own food. We raise meat. We have chickens. We have turkeys. We have ducks. We carry our water in buckets. You know, we compost everything here, including our own, you know, human manure. Everything's composted. We do all that. We forage in the woods. We cut our wood out of the trees and we burn it. That's the only source of heat that we have. We do all those things. And I encourage all of those things. I think that they're all very necessary. In fact, they're necessary to survive. It's not necessary to make me feel good. It's not necessary to give me a little bit of warm, fuzzy comfort because I'm fitting in some kind of little trendy movement of this, Hollywood tabletop magazine homesteading. That's not it. What it is, it's number one, it's getting out of Babylon. It's getting out of these cities of iniquity, the cities of ill repute. If you haven't watched the stuff that's going on, the violence and the grotesque behavior that's going on in these cities, then you've been living under a rock too long, because they're all horrible, every one of them. And so that's one of the reasons why we live the way we do. The other reason is because we believe that it helps us draw closer to the Father, the Creator God. That's the other reason why we do it. But another reason why we do it is because it is the best way to be as prepared and independent and ready for when things really start going southward. And they are. We are in almost every sense in a state of war already. I mean, do we have troops on the front lines that are dying and planes that are crashing and stuff? Not yet. But we are seeing the war drums pick up. We're already funding it. We're sending our munitions over to Europe. And now we're doing this cat and mouse game with China. It's coming, folks. It's coming. When world leaders, when nations that are at the top of the ladder, which is what America has been for over a century, when they start falling, when they start weakening, it's like hyenas. The rest of the world smells that weakness and they move in for the kill. And that's exactly what's happening. We are watching the Western civilization that it's weakened itself because of the wickedness and the irresponsibility and the theft and the lying. We're seeing the repercussions of all of that. And we're seeing that our civilization, the West, is becoming weak. And we're seeing the hyenas circle around us. And at some point, they will make their move. They're just kind of probably setting up the chessboard in their favor, is most likely what's happening. We're seeing in every other way, where the morality, the moral degradation of our society is at such an epic level that I don't know that there's any time, any point in history, human history, that we could ever compare it to. The things that are going on, the things that are being allowed and encouraged and supported by our government. The economy, your money, the buying power of your dollar, it's all being stripped away. Every bit of it. The unhealthiness that's going on, the chemicals that they're putting in everything, and now this abomination of altered DNA that they're doing to you, to the food, to the plants, to everything. It's an absolute abomination. And we're watching that happen, and yet some people are still content with, trying to produce the best looking tomato, and they don't want to talk about, this kind of stuff. This is scary. Having this, learning to use it, training with it, and not training to shoot squirrels out of the trees, like I said before, that's too scary for people. It offends them. It hurts their feels. And if that's the way people are, then I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you, but I can't help you, and I won't. Because there's too many people out there that have their heads screwed on straight. There's too many people that understand the severity of what's going on, and that's the people that I'm trying to reach. Does it give me the big numbers? No, absolutely not. The numbers of this channel, the watching numbers, subscriber numbers has been dropping for 6 months now. And that's the way it is, because the message that I put out isn't really for everyone. Just as an example, today I made one of those little YouTube shorts. I hate making those things, but YouTube is really pushing them, and to try to help get the numbers back up and try to reach a few more people. Every once in a while I make one, and I made one today talking about raising children to be tough, raising children to not be hyper emotional, to not be like the modern worldly people and their children. And, YouTube demonetized it because it was an offensive content. Just proving the point of the actual video that I made. And this is the world that we live in. And there's too much of that in the homestead world. I don't get invited to homestead events. I don't get invited to speak at them because they don't want my kind of message. And there are a few people on YouTube that are sending out that kind of message, that it's not just preparedness, but it's also homesteading. It's also a self-sufficient lifestyle. You need to be growing gardens. You need to be having some animals. You need to be cutting your own firewood. You need to be living as self-sufficient and outside of the system as possible. You know, are you capable of drawing water out of this creek and making it drinkable? Are you capable of that? What happens when your power goes out? Can you keep your food, from spoiling when there's no electricity? Do you know how to live that kind of lifestyle? Can you live outside the system when you don't have access to grocery stores and to hardware stores and to emergency clinics and pharmaceutical stores? Can you survive without that? Are you able to? Are you able to survive for just 2 weeks? Are you able to survive when the system says you're not allowed? You're not part of this system anymore. You're outside of the system unless you want to get your marks and your DNA and everything else registered and controlled. If you don't do that, then you're outside of the system. What do you do then? What do you do then? A lot of people don't think that far ahead. They're thinking of, well, the storm might knock out power for a week or two, we'll be good, but as long as I've got my Starbucks in the long run and I can still make it to the Walmart and the Target and all that other kind of places, we'll be doing good. There may come a day that if you want to keep your faith and to live the lifestyle and to raise up your children the way that they should go, then you may not have access to any of that. And when that day comes, what are you going to do? Homesteading is much more than a hobby. It's much more than a feel-good experience. It's really a lifestyle. It's embarking upon a self-sufficient journey to where you are really seceding your life from the government and from the systems out there. You're saying, I don't need that anymore. Is it nice? Is it comfortable? Is it convenient? Yes, but I will do everything I can to find a way to live outside of those systems. And if that means providing my own defense, providing my own food, my own medical, my own energy costs, everything, energy needs, I will do it on my own or within my community. And I don't think a lot of people has really wrapped their heads around that that's the world that we're headed into. It's going to be way worse, I think, than most people can imagine, because America has been so good for so long. It's been so wonderful for so long. It's not been like these South American and the African countries and Eastern European countries and places over in Asia where they have gone through revolutions and they've gone through collapses. They've gone through famines and starvations and civil wars and warlords and death and murder and rape and pillage. And that stuff has happened for the last century or two, and it's still happening today in many of these places. And Americans don't have to experience that. They don't even see it on their news. They don't see it on their TV. They have to go looking for it to find it. But there will come a day when that stuff's coming to us. And a lot of people just are not ready, folks. They're just not. And it's unfortunate. But there's not a whole lot we can do about it. We have to keep pressing forward and keep getting our own houses in order. Keep preparing and getting ourselves, our families, and our communities around us, the ones that have the ear to hear, keep getting them ready and getting ready in a way that I don't think any of us can imagine. For those of you that's been preppers for a long time, you've talked about, what happens if Yellowstone goes off? What happens if an EMP? What happens if this or that, a solar flare? What happens if it all happens at once? If all of those levels of catastrophic events happens at once? That's the kind of world that we could find ourselves in, and we need to be ready for it and battle hardened and get to ready in your warrior status. It doesn't mean warrior that you're going to go out and fight necessarily, although that's probably going to be a good possibility for most people. But when I say warrior, I mean just toughened up and ready to endure through hardships and hard times, and not just only focused on the cute little chicken coops and the frolicking through the wildflowers. Sometimes you have to man up and toughen up and do the hard things. You do the hard things to survive, and that's the world that we live in right now. Folks, get your houses in order. Prepare mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.